It's a full-on freakout situation now. Trump's cabinet picks are shaking up the political landscape and the left is losing it. With every new announcement, their outrage seems to escalate and their tactics are becoming more desperate by the day. From attacking nominees' characters to spinning wild narratives, it's clear they're grasping at straws. Today we're covering some of these hot takes and you won't believe how unhinged Bob Woodward has become. As always, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos just like this.
Listen, if Democrats want to make it painful and never get home to see their districts or their families, they can run the clock on every nomination. It also eats up floor time in order to get the agenda done that Donald Trump was elected to do on behalf of the American people. If Democrats want to jam the floor of the United States Senate and ultimately have a fire alarm pulled because they're unwilling to do both of their jobs, which are nominations and not jam up the floor, and they want to run the clock,
throw their hands
or
up in
they
the
go
air.
to the legislative calendar.
Democrats cannot throw their hands up in the air.
Then they run the clock and they stop the American people from getting the agenda they want done. That's exactly what you're saying.
Not even Mitch
Having worked in the
McConnell
United States Senate, I can tell you this.
Mitch McConnell.
They will run the clock.
May I speak? Mitch McConnell, who had polio. I have a hard time thinking that Mitch McConnell, who had polio and knows the benefit of those vaccines and eradicating those diseases that almost wiped out children, would throw his hands up in the air and say, oh, it's RFK.
Everyone, let's appreciate it. Thank you.
It is hilarious how Anderson had to intervene there, sort of telling Anna that this isn't the view, so just let the others express themselves. But what she was suggesting here is that both the Republican and Democrat senators run the clock on Trump's cabinet picks. This isn't just political gamesmanship, it's a slap in the face to the voters who gave him both the Electoral College and the popular vote wins. But it's a similar tactic they've used back in 2016. The Washington Post even did an analysis and found that, quote, of previous 4 administrations, the median wait time between official nomination and full Senate vote was just 1 day. Trump's median was 25 days. Just to be clear, this was released in 2016, so they're referring to the 4 presidencies before Trump's first presidency. I think someone should tell the left that whether you like it or not, elections have consequences, and one of those is the president's constitutional right to assemble a cabinet that reflects their administration's priorities. Of course, the Senate has a role to advise and consent, but that shouldn't mean that they get a carte blanche access to obstruct and delay. Bob Woodward, who was one of the journalists involved in the Watergate scandal, had a different approach. It's almost like he's living a different reality.
And I wanted to ask you about that because there's a couple things happening right now. There are the personnel picks, and I mentioned a couple of them. He's standing by Matt Gaetz, Pete Hegseth, Tulsi Gabbard for DNI. You've covered him for decades. Why do you think he picked them? And is he standing by to provoke fear, or what is it about?
Well, you know, you're in your car driving down the street. The check engine light goes on. What do? Pull into a grocery store? No, you look for a filling station where there might be somebody who knows what to do. Trump is doing the exact opposite. Mm-hmm. He is intentionally kind of sabotaging the system.
The irony is when someone acknowledges that the check engine light is on, they're admitting there's an issue in the system that needs fixing. Trump didn't invent these issues. He ran his campaign on the frustrations people felt because the system wasn't working for them. For decades, politicians on both sides ignored the warning signs. They made big promises, collected votes, and then nothing. I've noticed, by the way, you still haven't liked the video or subscribed to the channel yet, so what are you waiting for? People got tired of leaders completely out of touch with what was happening on the ground. That's the environment Trump stepped into, a broken system that practically begged for disruption. If everything was fine and dandy, do you think his message would have resonated so deeply? Not a chance. That's not all because Bob chose to reveal the secret plan that Trump aimed to achieve.
Steve Bannon, his old political advisor, actually says that in the first months of the Trump administration, the idea is to pierce tradition, obliterate it, put a hand grenade over it. And so you see all of these appointees that Trump made, that he's standing by. What does he want? He wants a revolution where he controls completely. And to achieve that, he has to destroy the system. So driving down the road, check engine light goes on, he goes into a clown store because that's what's happened.
With all due respect, Bobby, that's why people chose to vote for Trump. Say what you will about him, but if there's one thing he proved during his first term, it's that he knows how to follow through on his campaign pledges, and you can count on him being even more aggressive in driving change this time around, because he basically knows where the roadblocks are and he's not planning to let them stand in the way again. Expect him to come out swinging, particularly on issues like energy independence, foreign trade, and the border crisis. His America First agenda will likely get an upgrade focusing on rebuilding the economy and dismantling the deep state inefficiencies that hurt government performance. His approach might not be for the faint-hearted, but he campaigned on winning for the people who voted for him. It might be the case that Woodward is in the process of promoting his new book, so this might be an attempt by him to drive more sales, but he's essentially repeating the obvious and acting like he made a major discovery. Bob also gave his take on nominating Tulsi for the Director of National Intelligence role. Needless to say, he's not very impressed.
Trump has nominated someone who has been an apologist for Putin, who has been an apologist for Bashar al-Assad, in Tulsi Gabbard. And how does that strike you? What does having someone like her in that job, what concerns do you have?
What's the goal? What's the purpose? Having written 3 books on Trump, spent hours with him, the goal is to give him all the say, all the power. Real power is fear. He knows, in fear, that's what we're living in now. This is the era of fear, because he's going to be president for 4 years. And if this is the idea, it is so, it's almost unconstitutional. Literally, it's not. But look at it. Why do you want somebody who doesn't know what they're doing? Check engine light has just gone off, and we've pulled in to the wrong store. Makes no sense. And it is a form of giving his middle finger to the American people.
And there you have it, folks. A president exercising his constitutional power is unconstitutional. When will the left realize that if fear-mongering was the secret formula, they'd have crushed the victory when they were handed a clear sweep? The thing is about spreading fear is that only works if people believe it, and after hearing the same doomsday predictions, cycle after cycle, voters have grown tired. This election should have been a wake-up call for the left. Instead of doubling down on fear, they need to start offering actual tangible solutions that address the concerns of ordinary Americans, issues like inflation, safety, jobs, and education. I think if they don't pivot to a more positive and solution-driven approach, they'll risk becoming even more disconnected from the electorate. I'd love to know your thoughts here, so let's get the conversation rolling in the comments down below. By the way, if you want your friends to stay in the loop, please share this video with them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.